My name is Jonathan Bloom, and I'm a percussion instructor, drum instructor at the jazz camp. Also coordinate classes, the movement of students going into various rehearsals, and whatever else I need to do here. It's important because, number one, it fills a void that we have in our community. It's a camp that's very unique because most of the camps are not as intense as this one is, where we have big band, combo, vocal, a big mix, and we have various levels. And I don't know of any camp that's like this particular camp that's in New Orleans, at least in our local community. Yeah, I have mixed emotions about it, but most of the time I wake up in the morning, I'm frightened because every time I think we hit an all-time low, we hit another bottom and then we drop another 15 feet. And it's kind of scary because, uh, you don't want to be the generation that dropped the ball. You want to say that things were restored or things were preserved. You passed it on. I feel like we've been entrusted with a treasure, and it's our job to give it to the next generation, and so they can carry it and give it to the next and pass it on. It has to be a continuous process. And this generation, it'll represent the work we put in. Whatever they do represents us also, because we're the ones who uh, are trying to direct them and channel them in the right way so that they could preserve the culture and the art. Yeah, we're doing that in several ways. Where could kids go in New Orleans and be a part of a big band, playing a tribute to whoever, all the artists we had over the years. Like last year we did Latin music and dance, swing dance, for kids to be able to interact with artists like Kid Jordan or like we had Alvin Baptiste. These are master teachers, and often they're still teaching us, this next generation of teachers, so we could help be better teachers. Uh, but it's a great thing for these kids to come here and to be able to hone in on the skills that they need to hone in to be successful at the next level. We've had many examples where our kids have gone on to the other camps like Skidmore and Berkeley, and they represented us very well. And the numbers speak to that, because we've sent quite a few kids up to Berkeley. And just this past year we had 2 or 3. Over the last year and a half we have about 4 or 5 of them who made it into Berkeley, and 2 of them with full scholarships. So that speaks well of us. Not that we can take all the credit for everybody, but we're only stewards for a season. And a student is a product of his whole community. No one teacher can take all of the credit for that. But many of the kids, if they didn't have this opportunity, there would be very little, especially at the cost. What it costs to go to a camp like this, if they have to pay to go to one of those camps up in Berkeley or Skidmore, I mean, you're talking about a few $1,000s, and then that's not including airfare and whatever other costs that's tacked on to it. Many of these kids know they want to do this for life, and so this is an opportunity for them to hone in on it at an early age. But the best thing, I think we're doing a great job of this, is, where we're suffering preserving the music as a whole, but the thing that's kind of saving New Orleans is the music is embedded in our social behavior. Like, we have the music that's seasonal through Mardi Gras, through the benevolent societies and all of that. So if we help kids to learn how to play their instruments, then they'll be better contributors to preserving that part of our culture. That's just as important. You know, New Orleans is not just defined in one simple statement. It's a problem for me to watch a lot of programs and movies that try to depict New Orleans and to try to capture us in a 1-hour program or a movie, because they just can't do it, because you can't define us. You limit us when you try to define us in that one way. You know, so this camp is one of the reasons why I know we'll be successful and we'll sustain this, but at what level? We need more, you know. Those kids, I think they're taken by this because it's very, New Orleans is unique, you know, in a sense. When you come in, you feel like you're in a foreign country, you know. It's not American. And I mean, most of us, we don't consider this America anyway. I mean, but the kids, for instance, the little kid we have this year, Fabrice, he was just taken back because so much of the camp and so much what we're trying to expose him to is bigger than music. We're trying to expose him to just the whole culture of Louisiana. He got a chance to sit down with many of my family members and eat boiled crabs, the few that's left, and some grilled oysters right off the grill. He was just fascinated playing with crawfish and to taste the food that's just indigenous to this area, innately New Orleans or Louisiana food. So he was taken by that, and the other day I called and he was invited. I got some seats for him reserved. He got to hear one of our local icons, Ellis Marcellus. So he was just taken by, you know, listening to Wynton's dad. He's a Wynton's fan, right? Wynton Marcellus fan. So the whole idea of looking at Ellis Marcellus and listening to some good music that night, he was really, he has a lot to talk about. You know, I know we have touched him, and he'll never forget this the rest of his life. He'll never forget this. Well, you know, it's interesting. I bring Lewis into this scenario in different ways because I'm always talking about the history of the music to kids. Even though we had musicians who were older than Pops to play this music before him, but he represents that he's the ambassador. He's the torchbearer of all times, you know. So the whole idea of his success and his commitment to the music, what he brought to the music in terms of his improvisational skills, his stage presence. So we always talk about those qualities to kids. And we talk about just the hardship. I mean, life wasn't easy for him in the beginning. Life was, in New Orleans during that time, was a struggle for him. So the whole idea to persevere and to endure just those hard times of life is a big lesson to learn for anybody, you know. So it's not always easy, and so he's a great example, and his name is bigger than the person right now. I mean, it represents the music. So I'm glad we've used that name because I think it captures the essence of what we're trying to bring to these kids. Well, basically, you know, we try to give an overview of the whole camp. I mean, we show the kids who are in their very formative stage of learning how to play the music. We have the beginning jazz band, we have the young piano players, we have those kids who are not quite at the A orchestra or the big band level yet, and those kids get to play and to show the things that they've learned in camp. But the biggest thing is we really showcase the talent, too, of the kids who we know are going to be the torchbearers tomorrow. And show how these kids, in a short period of time, can come together and put together some challenging music, you know, that professionals look at it and say, wow, they did it at a high level, and this is nothing to just, turn away from. It's something that you really should pay attention to and really pat them on their back to say, hey, y'all did a great, outstanding job. And every year we've done that. I mean, some of the music Alvin Baptiste brought in over the years, I mean, the music would be on the floor. It would be so long. We were laughing about that earlier today. Some of the arrangements were like 29 minutes, 30 minutes long. I mean, and it was written out, so the kids, I mean, that in itself speaks of their ability, and we don't just come to learn music. The kids hone in on some things that we get them to work on over the year. Say, look, by next year, this is what we want you to do, or what we want you to sound like. And many of the kids who come back and repeat, we can see and we can mark their progress and see what they've done over the time. Some of them leave a little early because they're doing so well. They say, oh, I got to go on to some other things. And, they kind of figure they need to move on and experience, or they get other opportunities. And there's nothing wrong with that. Again, because I said, you don't own anybody. We only a steward for a season, a short period of their lives. And we just want to be a part of that, a positive part of their lives, For whatever reason, some kids, depending on their age when they start, to determine how long they stay. Some of those kids who've been with us a long time, they started playing at a younger age. And the more the merrier for them. I mean, they got a chance to really benefit from this. And not just from music, because we try to instill in each one of these kids that human quality, the morals and values to create good citizens. At that point, it's bigger than music. The lesson yesterday was for a young kid, say, hey, don't just think about the few opportunities outside of jazz camp that you have for tomorrow to make $5. Think about the long-term goals. Think about, you want to do this for life. Think in terms of longevity. How you gonna sustain yourself, how to be organized. Set some goals for yourself. How you gonna, what's the timelines? How you gonna accomplish this? And not assume that it's gonna always be paid for all the time, because that's your responsibility. So the sooner you set up for yourself that you're responsible for everything that you do, and you take on that responsibility, the better off you'll be, I just hope that people around the country and people in New Orleans continue to support the Louis Armstrong Summer Jazz Camp and any other program like ours, because this music everybody's at risk. The good kids, the bad kids, everybody is at risk at this particular time. And if we don't catch it now, well, money won't help. We'll get to a point where money is not an issue, and that's a bad point to be, because when you can save something by just putting a few dollars there and you can save it, then there's hope. But when it gets to the point where the money doesn't matter, you can have $1 million and you don't have the expertise, or you don't have the kids, or you don't have the ability to get all of those little things together that need to come together in a timely way, all of the intangible things, then, serious problem. Kind of like we are in Louisiana, like with the oil spill or the shrinking coastline. If we don't start dealing with that, then it's gone forever. So the music is the same way. The more we let it erode, we won't be able to catch it in a timely way. So support us.